I think we have some colleagues coming in from Europe, and then if anyone is further east, good evening. Great to see everyone here in the room, and also those of you online, thank you for making time to connect. It's really a pleasure to just be able to chair and welcome everyone here. We have a long road that we've traveled together with our EU project on AMR, the Tripartite Partners, and it's really been a very successful and productive project and a great collaboration. I want to first just ask colleagues to please recognize and take a moment to appreciate the success. And we have a relatively short time frame to get through a very large agenda that has many specifics in it. So I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time saying much more except to welcome everyone. And I would like to basically ask all of you who are participating and contributing to please try to stick to the time frame that you've been allocated. I know David and team have spent a lot of time trying to talk to everyone about how much time we have for each part of the session. So without further ado, David, I think, do you want to intervene in any other way before we get started?
No, just say thank you very much.
Okay.
And,
okay.
No, suddenly it threw me. I would like to very much to hand over to Robert to provide a welcome to everyone.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you.
Great. Please, Bob.
Great. David, put very well. You'll help us stay on track for today. In fact, and Scott, thank you very much. I'm not going to say a lot of words, in fact, because we do have a very heavy agenda, and the 5 minutes that I had allocated to me is already gone. But I wanted to recognize the very powerful collaboration between FAO, WHO, and WOAH, and as well with UNEP that was brought on board to make this a full One Health approach. I definitely want to recognize, first and foremost, EU delegation here in Thailand, the regional office with Andreas and Marie here today. I feel like I've, to some small degree over the years, every 6 months that we've gotten together, have gotten to know each other a little bit, and I've appreciated all of your reflections and your guidance moving this program forward. I'd also like to recognize our government counterparts who are mostly online, but also our government counterparts from Thailand through the Department of Livestock Development. Mr. Dr. Udam Chuachan, who's with us here today, Deputy Director General, thank you so much for being with us. And I understand congratulations in order to you as well, and appointment of your position. So congratulations to you, and thank you for being a very strong partner, not only to this project, but to FAO in general. Our partners at Chula University, the different FAO reference laboratories for AMR, those partners here with us, either physically or online. And then, of course, recognizing our partners through the World Organization for Animal Health, WHO, through the Southeast Asia region and the Western Pacific region that are with us today. Forgive me that I don't name everybody as we go through, but as you speak, please introduce yourselves to the group. I've been doing this sort of position for about 2 years now, and I've seen the progress of the project. And I recall, you've mentioned already, Andreas, but I added in my notes that the very first meeting we had was all about we need to accelerate at this point. And the team really came around that and started accelerating. Then it was about producing productive outputs, but then it moved to looking at very concrete results and achievements. Moving toward in the last meeting, the last 2 meetings that we had were very tied to what's the sort of the legacy of the project. And we use that word legacy very profoundly to not just suggest that there needed to be a known quantity out of this project in the long run and that it would be remembered, but that there would be sustainability, that there were roots, that there were achievements that would be lasting and not merely superficial. And so today we have, I think, a very busy schedule to really dig into that. I appreciate there'll be a lot of achievements and speaking from different countries and their experiences. But when we look at this legacy, it's what I often called, you're looking for the golden thread through an initiative. If you can see golden thread through multiple activities, then you start to build a community of practice, you start to build a momentum, and you build opportunity for affecting change over time. And the One Health around the world is definitely a very powerful example of this. This initiative has contributed significantly to that. And as all of the things that we had discussed very substantively, we were able to develop a really true One Health approach and bringing the 4 agencies together on top of the original tripartite spirit of AMR. There was a lot of country-level work, and particularly on instilling proper governance mechanisms, governance procedures, building on the global action plan that FAO has initiated. So a lot of the learning here goes into that perspective forward, building stronger national action plans, but multi-sectoral platforms that manage that action plan and that bring in environmental components, but also monitoring and evaluation mechanisms as well as budgeting mechanisms. So the governance opportunity is in place to continue this type of work. Now, I want to mention that this project coincides with some of the work that we have funded through the Republic of Korea on ACT and Codex AMR context, funding from the Fleming Fund from the UK, some of our AMR multi-partnership trust funds, as well as a pandemic fund that is taking root in many different countries. FAO is also launching a new program that I'm not going to remember the full title of it, but the GPP TADS, Transboundary Animal Disease Issues. This essentially will be fully launched officially, I believe, in June, but our Director General has already announced this. It's going through a vetting process through all of our regional conferences. This is another opportunity to really take the lessons learning that we have in these programs and bring them to a full fruition across all of our regional members. So with this said, I don't want to go further, but I appreciate the great work that everybody has done coming around the table. We have quite a few folks online that will also contribute to this. And again, I want to appreciate our partners through the EU delegation, our different governments, and particularly government of Thailand that's with us today, and a small appreciation in this final meeting to David and the team for all of your diligent hard work and effort, each and every one of you coming to the table as this is coming to fruition and closure in the end of May, so I understood it. We will seek to keep the roots of this program moving forward, the partnerships moving forward. But your appreciation through this process has been greatly noted. Thank you.
Great. Thank you very much, Bob. Really appreciate you making time for this important event. Next, I'd like to introduce Andreas Rotgerd to provide opening remarks on behalf of the EU.
Esteemed participants, dear colleagues and partners, it's an honor and great pleasure to be here with you all in the room and online. And I would like to start by thanking the project team for the work undertaken over the last few years and carried this important project forward, notably FAO as steadfast coordinator and lead organizer. Efforts of you in convening all project partners and focal points have proven invaluable and setting the stage for today's fruitful discussion. This is a word of, it's a moment of taking stock. It's a word of farewell, but auf Wiedersehen as well. So there's always a future. Well, I would also like to take the moment to express my gratitude to the 4 partners, FAO, WOAH, WHO, and UNEP, for implementing this action, which is a crucial action, as it's addressing and still very pertinent global health challenge. What is this antimicrobial resistance? And I would like to, of course, take the moment to acknowledge and appreciate the collaboration with all the governments involved. Here, the host country, Thailand, but we have also Malaysia, the Philippines, India, Indonesia, Japan, Korea, China, for carrying this forward over the years. And we hope that what we did together will help implementing the One Health approach further, and it will take roots. AMR is, as you know better than me, one of the biggest global public health and development threats. Still, huh? I mean, we almost forget COVID with all what happens in this volatile world. In the EU alone, AMR is responsible for more than 35,000 deaths a year. At global level, predictions say sometimes 39 million could perish because of AMR resistance between 2025 and 2050. So this is staggering and shows how important this type of work is to do something against it. Nowadays, it seems that the last major public health crisis, COVID-19 pandemic, is almost forgotten with all what happens every day anew around the world with crises. Nevertheless, the COVID-19 showed the importance of working on public health together. And on this topic, our project made important contributions for which I would like to thank you. Today we take stock of the achievements of this AMR project we do together in Asia, and it made substantial contributions to strengthen the One Health approach, surveillance systems, and regional collaboration. Working on a One Health approach, we collectively worked both at global policies and at national and at EU policies. So that was very nice. With this project, we brought together this, it's called Tripartite, right? Partners. And this again, we really appreciate. Now, we all know that only together we can really, make a difference, a positive difference. But this simple truth is sometimes easy said, but it also needs to be lived up at. And I think with this project, we made some very important strides. We aim to reach a number of objectives with the project. And from our side, we take particular note of the results achieved by our innovative private sector engagement and pilot activities implemented in India and in the Philippines. More need to be done on this one in the future to scale up pilots, provide stronger regulatory and market-based incentives at the national level. Countries perhaps could allocate more dedicated national funding for such engagement to really bring in the private sector in this. It is really crucial to get traction with the One Health approach. The project established, number two, a foundational platform for research and innovation. And we hope that this will allow in the time to come to continue producing tangible research outputs for the benefit of all countries and the global community. With the project, we gave inspiration for tangible cooperation, and we firmly believe we did. And all, as we know, the complex topic like AMR can only be tackled together in a whole of society at the end approach. Saying this, we believe in the perspective more could be done to bring the subnational, the local level, and thematically the environment and plant health sectors into this equation. The project strengthened AMR and AMU surveillance. This technical capacity will allow countries to monitor and track AMR risks in order to respond timely. We saw the best results of this project were achieved when there was a strong alignment with national action plans, which we saw in particular in Indonesia, Philippines, Thailand, Vietnam, and Malaysia. All in all, I think we can, well, with some pride, look back to a successful project. Nevertheless, also, let's take us with us that a timely and agile start, Robert, you mentioned it, would have allowed to reach even more substantial results. The aftermath of COVID-19 rendered the project start a bit difficult. Nevertheless, for future projects, we encourage this as a lesson to take with us all and to hit the ground running towards swift implementation in the perspectives. Moreover, regarding sustainability, the external evaluation confirmed that AMR action requires clear mandates and integrated policy frameworks. More could be done regarding domestic financing, complete data governance frameworks, and stronger engagement of environmental and plant health sectors. The private sector requires more engagement with stronger regulatory backing to really get that traction. We hope that all the countries that participated under this project, with this project, will take and build upon the results achieved and continue this engagement also with their own resources and for the benefit of their societies. Today, we have the chance for a review of the results and achievements to reflect a bit on the last few years we worked together, and we look forward to this presentation and discussion. Once again, thank you very much for all partners for the hard work done. And by this, let's continue with the presentations. Thank you very much.
Great, thank you very much, Andreas. Okay, to try to keep us moving along, I'd like to invite David to give us a project description and also discuss the achievements for component 1 of the program. David, over to you.
Thank you so much, Scott. Thank you, Robert. Thank you, Andreas. So today, really, we are going to provide just a snapshot. As we've done the reporting and prepared for the webinar, it is amazing to think how much we've done over the last 4 years, especially as we didn't really get into sort of full speed until about 1.5 years into the project. So what we're trying to do really is focus today on achievements and on impact rather than what we have done. So just going to start off with a brief introduction to the project for any newcomers. Chan, next slide, please. Thank you. So the project worked with 9 countries in the region: China, India, Indonesia, Japan, Republic of Korea, Malaysia, Philippines, Thailand, and Vietnam. As I was putting this together, I just summed up the populations of these countries in 2025. Comprises 44% of the world's population. So it's working with quite a large chunk of the world's population. The project lasted for 4 years, from January 2022 to December 25. And was implemented by the Tripartite of FAO, WHO, and WOAH, with government AMR focal points in the 9 countries. The project was designed and started before UNEP joined the Quadripartite. So UNEP has not been a formal partner in this project, but it's supported many of the activities and led on some of the pandemic preparedness work. We are really grateful to the European Union and the Foreign Policy Instruments team in particular, who've been very supportive resource partner throughout the project design and implementation. The EU invited the Tripartite to carry out this work with the objective of contributing to country AMR preparedness, engaging with major global players and strategic countries, and contributing towards achieving the objectives of the Global Action Plan on AMR. And this was to be done by sharing experiences, advocating best practices, and stimulating actions. Next slide, please. Thank you. The project comprised 5 components looking to deliver 5 diverse outcomes. The first sought to support countries to review, update, implement, and monitor national action plans for AMR. The second focused on integrated AMR and AMU surveillance in both agri-food systems and human health. The third sought to enhance the private sector's understanding of AMR and the battle to reduce it, but also to document and promote the private sector's significant areas of innovation in the battle against AMR, and to understand what they need from the government to maximize their impact on AMR. The fourth outcome related to research and innovation, and the fifth sought to enhance regional cross-sectoral One Health collaboration to prepare for possible future pandemics. Next slide. So now we will move on to present the achievements and the impacts. It's just a snapshot. We're covering a wide range. We have a lot of contributors from across the outcomes and from the countries. I will start with the first outcome, and then different partners from the tripartite will present the results for the other countries. So outcome 1 sought to have improved One Health-focused AMR national action plans, updated, implemented, and evaluated in project countries. This was delivered through 3 outputs. The first output related to identification of gaps in AMR risk identification and management. We worked with the Nossal Institute from the University of Melbourne to develop and publish guidance on operationalizing the management of AMR risks through One Health approaches, but at a sub-national level. For the second output, we worked with 4 countries that were renewing or planning to implement their new AMR national action plans to move beyond planning to concrete multi-sectoral action and to strengthen institutional capacity to support implementation and evaluation of action plans. However, much of this work for this output was done by the countries themselves, and they will talk about this work later. These 4 countries also developed monitoring and evaluation frameworks for their AMR national action plans with the project's assistance, and along with 1 additional country also embedded M&E within their formal plans and planning processes. Next slide, please, Chan. The main impacts of outcome 1 were stronger national governance and institutional capacity for managing AMR, an improvement in the implementation and sustainability of AMR national action plans and M&E frameworks within national systems, ensuring enhanced accountability, ownership, and adaptive management of AMR responses. I will now hand over to JP Tonolete from WHO Wipro to talk about outcome 2.
Thanks, David. And good day, colleagues. I am Juan Paulo Tonolete, Technical Officer for AMR from the WHO Regional Office for the Western Pacific. And on behalf of the WHO Regional Offices for Southeast Asia and the Western Pacific, I will walk everyone through the achievements under Outcome 2 of the EU Regional Tripartite AMR Project. Our focus has been to strengthen integrated surveillance and monitoring of antimicrobial resistance and antimicrobial use across sectors, with important gains in the human health sector. Through this initiative, we supported countries across the region to strengthen national AMR and antimicrobial consumption surveillance systems, including through country missions, regional technical meetings, and hand-on training programs. These activities enabled laboratories and surveillance teams to improve data generation, quality assurance, and analysis. A key achievement has been the standardization of the laboratory practices and strengthening of quality assurance systems in several countries, including Philippines, Vietnam, and Indonesia. This has improved the reliability and comparability of AMR data across the region. The project has also helped countries translate surveillance data into action. Hospitals have strengthened their capacity for AMR outbreak detection and response, and countries improved the use of antimicrobial consumption and resistance data to inform stewardship policies and treatment guidelines. Importantly, the program contributed to increased and higher quality reporting to the WHO Global Antimicrobial Resistance and Use Surveillance Systems, or GLAS, strengthening the global evidence base for AMR policy and action. We also supported new surveillance initiatives, including the launch of the National AMR Bloodstream Infection Survey in Indonesia, and expanded the laboratory capacity to detect fungal antimicrobial resistance, which is an emerging but often under-recognized threat. Next slide, please. So overall, these efforts are already showing impact. Countries are now better able to detect drug-resistant infections earlier, improve antimicrobial stewardship and clinical management, and strengthen preparedness of AMR outbreaks in hospitals. Ultimately, the project is helping ensure that surveillance data are not only generated, but translated into evidence-based policies and practices that protect patients and preserve the effectiveness of life-saving antimicrobials. I now hand over to Dr. Tikiri Priyanta, the Technical Officer, Antimicrobial Resistance and One Health Coordinator from the World Organization for Animal Health. Next slide, please.
Thank you, JP. So I think as JP already mentioned, this is quite an important component of this whole project, integrating all the sectors into AMR and AMU surveillance. So this activity, I mean, basically a mix of regional and country level activities. So, I mean, integrating different sectors, namely animal, plant, and human health sectors into AMR surveillance. So through these activities, such as, FAO-led benchmarking workshop on AMR surveillance and WOAH-led integrated surveillance workshop. So we were able to achieve things like mapping AMR, AMU surveillance activities, needs, and the ways forward in integration. Then also developing a case study in Malaysia about this integrated surveillance, and also identifying key AMU data sources, through some of the country activities, identifying different stakeholders, gaps, and also challenges in data sharing and making recommendations for improvement, because those are the key elements of integrated surveillance. So then we were able to achieve enabling countries to develop their own annual AMU reporting, and also develop their capacities on integrated surveillance of AMR and AMU across sectors, human, animal, and agriculture sectors. So those are key achievements that are very critical for, shaping the future of the battle against AMR, because, there are a lot of associations, possible associations, factors affecting AMR. So next slide, please. So through all these activities, we were able to improve the capacity of national AMU and AMR reporting through in-farm and NMUs, and also stewardship, developing different guidelines, then enhance awareness on harmonized regional approaches of integrated AMR, AMU surveillance, analyzing this data so that data can be used for policy making and decision making at country and regional plus global levels. Then also strengthening national AMR surveillance through capacity building, like training on laboratory activities on AMR surveillance, laboratory system evaluation through Atlas, and also training on AMR reporting through Infarm, plus AMU reporting through Animus. So those are the key impacts we were able to establish at regional and country level through these activities. So next, may I invite Milo to present?
Hello, everyone. I hope you can hear me. Thank you very much, Tikiri, and also David. I appreciate the opportunity to participate in this closing webinar, and happy to provide the outcomes for the outcome of the component 3 for the private sector engagement. So this component focused on reinforcing the engagement of the private sector in the fight against AMR. But what is important is also recognizing that both public institutions and the private sector stakeholders must work together to achieve sustainable results. So the country consultations showed that the PSE, or the private sector engagement, is not simply about compliance, but about co-designing also the practical solutions with the public sector, fostering innovation and creating sustainable models that align business with the public health objectives. So these consultations, a process of identifying and developing public and the private sector partnership opportunities was established. So the country workshop held in India, Malaysia, Philippines, and Thailand facilitated the identification of concrete opportunities, which were in total 28, for action, which were organized around 3 key areas: practice, infrastructure, and support services. What is also important to mention that the private sector and all those stakeholders participating in our events, more than 2/3 indicating a strong willingness to support future public-private partnership activities. All in all, 5 partnership initiatives were drafted in India and Philippines as a concrete proposals. So the project reinforced the private sector engagement more broadly, which will be also mentioned later. But complementing these engagement efforts, national desk reviews were conducted on AMR-related legislation and publicly available regulatory frameworks in Japan, China, Republic of Korea, Vietnam, Indonesia, and India. So these reviews examine governance arrangements, institutional coordination mechanism, and regulations related to antimicrobials, animal health, food safety, and the environment. So the findings from these national reports were subsequently consolidated into a regional report highlighting the trends and examples of good practice, including more focus on AMR in legislation, and suggested improvements through strengthened multi-sectoral coordination, data, activities, integrated surveillance, but also private sector engagement. Now I will hand over to Basilio from WOAH and move to the next slide. Thank you.
Thanks very much to Milo for that presentation, and also to organizers for allowing me to present Output 3.2, which is on enhancing capacity for responsible and prudent AMU in the private sector. So inadequate capacity at a country level is always a key challenge when ensuring access to safe, quality-assured veterinary medicinal products in the region. Consultancy was an opportunity to assess existing legislation, institutional arrangements, and human resource capacities across Southeast Asian countries, identifying key gaps and challenges. So using the findings, the consultancy developed recommendations to support improvements in national systems, particularly to strengthen pharmacovigilance and the reporting of substandard and falsified veterinary products. Regional training on SFVP also enhanced enrollment in reporting systems domestically. And next, as part of Output 3.3, we focused on turning private sector experience into practical communication tools to change behavior along the agri-food value chain. We worked with producers, feed manufacturers, processors, and animal health companies in 8 countries to co-develop communication guidelines on how to reduce unnecessary antimicrobial use, comply with regulations, and invest in alternatives in both terrestrial and aquatic systems. Instead of one-off messages, we created a structured communication strategy mapping where the private sector fits into national AMR action plans. We also highlighted concrete incentives to the private sector, like certification, market access, and we showed regulators how to engage businesses as partners, not just as targets for enforcement. This was all tested and shaped through 12 national private sector engagement meetings and the first regional workshop. which together engaged hundreds of stakeholders, over 100 companies, more than 30 associations. These activities generated a set of regionally validated best practices on data sharing, responsible use, and awareness raising. The result is countries now have a ready-made playbook for talking with industry about AMR, grounded in real business models in Asia's livestock and aquaculture sectors, so that reducing antimicrobial use is seen as part of competitiveness and sustainability, not just compliance. Well, I hope that's all clear, our impact. And with that, I'll pass back to Milo for our overall impact in this component. Next slide, please.
Thank you very much, Basilio. So the private sector, let's say in the Asian context, but of course, this goes more broadly. Private sector occupies a strategic position to advance meaningful progress through responsible stewardship, technological innovation, and collaborative engagement. So insights derived from the consultation workshops and also personal meetings underscores lots of opportunities for partnership to provide a robust foundation for sustained engagement and knowledge exchange, and for responsible antimicrobial use, in-hand access to quality assured safe veterinary medicine, safer food system, but of course, sustainable and resilient agri-food production across the region. So thank you very much. And we can move to the next slide. Thank you.
Thanks, Milo. So back to me. So outcome 4 sought, firstly, strengthened research and innovation on AMR, especially in the area of socioeconomic aspects of AMR and its management, and on alternatives to antimicrobial use. And secondly, on enhanced international cooperation. Progress in the socioeconomic assessment of AMR burden and response was achieved through regional studies in both WHO's Western Pacific and Southeast Asia regions, and through regional events. These included the annual Tokyo One Health AMR conferences and the associated research side event in 2025, the global experience sharing and guidance from the joint FAO ICARS regional workshop on integrating gender and equity solutions in AMR One Health policy research and practice. And for alternatives to antimicrobials, as you've just heard from Milo and Basilio, the private sector engagement work has elicited and shared a lot of solid advice on alternatives. The enhanced international cooperation was achieved through the regional workshops above and by linking countries with STAR IDAS and other international research initiatives, as well as through the tripartite engagement with the global quadripartite on the One Health AMR priority research agenda, which is very much gaining traction now and seeking proposals for research in the region. Next slide, please. The main impact has been greater international coordination of AMR research in the animal health sector and a growing research portfolio in the region. Now over to Lisa Thompson from WOAH, Regional Representation for Asia and the Pacific, who will talk about outcome 5. Over to you, Lisa.
Thank you very much, David. So let me briefly introduce component 5, which focused on pandemic preparedness. As we've heard from previous speakers, the main focus of the project has been strengthening national and regional capacity to address antimicrobial resistance through a One Health approach. However, AMR sits within a wider set of challenges at the human-animal environment interface, including emerging infectious diseases and zoonotic spillover events. Many of the systems needed to address AMR, such as multisectoral coordination, biosafety, surveillance, and communication, are also essential for pandemic preparedness. And the project included component 5 on pandemic preparedness, aimed to strengthen collaboration across sectors in the region. And under this component, several activities were supported, including regional One Health workshops, engagement with the environment sector, for example, an environmental ministers side event, tabletop exercises on spillover risk analysis, regional training on biosafety for wildlife sampling and diagnostics, and development of regional communication materials. These activities helped achieve several important results. In particular, they brought together stakeholders from multiple sectors to strengthen coordination. They expanded dialogue within the environmental community and helped countries identify regional priority actions for managing zoonotic risks at the human-animal environment interface. But more broadly, these efforts contributed to several key impacts for pandemic preparedness in the region, which are highlighted on the next slide. The first impact was stronger multi-sectoral collaboration. Through regional and national events, stakeholders from animal health, human health, and other sectors were brought together to work more closely on preparedness for emerging health threats. Second, the project helped broaden participation in One Health discussions, particularly by strengthening links with communities working on environmental and ecosystem issues that influence disease emergence. Third, the activities helped improve coordination for managing potential spillover events, strengthening readiness to respond to emerging zoonotic threats. In addition, the project strengthened technical capacity, including biosafety practices for wildlife sampling and diagnostics, which are critical for managing disease risks at the wildlife-livestock-human interface, and supported public awareness efforts on health risks at the interface. Together, these efforts helped strengthen the regional foundation for prevention, detection, and response to emerging zoonotic threats using a One Health approach. With that, I'll now hand over to Natalie Kapinga, FAO RAP, who will take us through the overall achievements and impact of the project across all components. Thank you, Natalie.
Yes, good afternoon. Yes, so the next session, I'll basically cover the overall achievements of the project. So that is in relation to its core objective of advancing or contributing to the Global Action Plan on AMR. So the achievements that I'll present are mainly, they stem from the evaluation, which was recently conducted as part of the project implementation, but also it builds on from the midterm review, which we conducted at midpoint of the project. So some of the information will be a bit of a repetition, but again, it's also a confirmation of all the good work that we have done as a project. So just to give context on the evaluation. So the evaluation was covered in covering the entire project. And ideally, it was meant to assess all the key aspects of the criteria of the evaluation criteria. So we looked at sustainability, we looked at coherence, we looked at project effectiveness, we looked at impact, and also we looked at effectiveness. But in addition to that, we also tried to address some of the cross-cutting issues which we felt were relevant, but also were part of the project design and implementation. And these included the application of the One Health approach, looking at the gender dimensions and equity, but also looking at critical areas such as communication, visibility, and monitor and evaluation, how these were embedded into the project implementation. So these are some of the key results that came out as part of that performance. But also as part of my presentation, I'll also focus on internal M&E of our own, because the evaluation was independent, but also as part of project implementation, we were also able to track project results and outputs and so on. So according to the evaluation, it was noted that the project was able to strengthen One Health AMR governance across the region. So the enablers for this was the One Health NAP review processes that happened for some of the select countries that have been mentioned in the previous conversation, but also embedding monitoring and evaluation as part and parcel of the NAP process cycles. The second achievement was the evaluation noted a major progress in antimicrobial resistance and AMU surveillance, and also an increase in laboratory capacity. And enablers for this was the standardized practices, but also improved data quality and the use, as mentioned by Tikiri earlier, where we promoted the use of reporting systems such as ANMUS and INFORM for countries to report on. Under the private sector, which was presented by my colleagues from WOAH and FAO, the evaluation noted that the engagement triggered behavior change in key value chains, and this was as a result of the stewardship activities and initiatives, but also through the PSC engagement sessions, the project was able to come up with the different PP partnership models that could be scaled up and implemented. Also, the evaluation noted that there was strengthened regional cooperation and peer learning, and this is mainly related to the regional events, the regional meetings, and so on, and also including the trainings that we conducted or we were able to conduct through some of the different components of the project. The evaluation also looked at the noted or improved multi-sector coordination and policy dialogue. So this is especially at country level, where we also worked with technical and committee groups for AMR, where we saw clear institutional roles between different departments, but also information sharing, which enhanced a stronger One Health collaboration. And lastly was on enhanced awareness and advocacy on AMR. So during the project implementation, we were able to develop and also implement a regional AMR communication strategy, which is still currently also under implementation and supporting countries, but also areas, partners such as private sector in implementing M&E activities. And also another enabler for this was the regional and national campaigns. So this relates to the national WOAH events that do happen on an annual basis in November. So through these events, we've really been able to be visible. We've produced a lot of products, different products, branding, key messages, videos, and so on. But also we've been able to achieve this through collaborating with the different partners on the ground, including government, but also resource partners and other projects that are currently implementing AMR activities. Next slide. So in terms of the overall performance of the project as per evaluation, the project was assessed based on a 6-point rating scale. So highly satisfactory being the highest rating and highly unsatisfactory being the lowest rating. So the project was rated as satisfactory, which was the second highest rating scale. And the factors for this was, as seen on the slide, was mainly because of the tripartite leadership, as mentioned, and also as heard by the different colleagues who presented earlier. The collaboration between FAO, WHO, and WOAH provided technical assistance and support to the countries was very visible, even as the evaluation was being conducted. The regional coordination, which enhanced One Health collaboration, the alignment of national AMR priorities, which, as mentioned earlier, also provided prospects for sustainability. Budget execution, we know we were working with limited funds, especially at the country level. As David mentioned, we worked with the countries to really prioritize and work with the countries to identify critical activities that are implemented under their national action plan and be able to support on this. Monitoring, reporting, and advocacy was also very critical as part of the project, and this enhanced accountability. But also as we moved along, it allowed us to continuously improve. I think as Robert mentioned earlier, from the start until today, we are able to really report on different outputs and outcomes. We've had a lot of moments where we've had to reflect and work on our work plans and revise and, just basically improve how we worked and collaborated as a team, but also communication and visibility, as I mentioned earlier. Lastly is the strategic relevance of the project. So Through the assessment, the project was well aligned to the national priorities of the countries. It was aligned to the regional priorities through the ASEAN frameworks, but also it was aligned to the European Union AMR strategy and so on. So that is on the project performance. So next slide. When it comes to performance by component, so the evaluation looked at the different outcome areas and how these performed. So under outcome 1, the project was rated satisfactory, and this was the result of the contribution of the One Health NAP processes that took place. However, as per evaluation, it felt that there was limited engagement of the environmental sector. But I think this was also explained by David earlier that by the time this project started, we did not work with the UNEP. And I think if that had been the case, I think the environmental sector issues would have come out clearly. Under outcome 2, the project was rated as satisfactory. Again, as presented earlier, we saw a lot of progress relating to laboratory strengthening, to surveillance, the use of tools, in-farm, animals, and so on, but also AMU monitoring, especially in animal health and human health. However, the evaluation felt that the integrated surveillance across environment, food, and plant sector remained limited. And as such, results were meaningful, but fell short of a fully integrated One Health surveillance. And the private sector, yes, we did a lot of PSC-related activities and work, which really were very positive, but also a lot of stewardship and training and voluntary initiatives really were part of the project success. However, the evaluation felt that the engagement was done little of the private sector, but also it was conducted at a small scale. So this limited the reach to information, to actors, and also the broader supply chains. So outcome 4 was moderately satisfactory. We saw the partnerships that we were able to work with, for example, ICAST, IDAS, but also others that have not been mentioned, such as ISOA for the student. We saw different dialogues regarding issues related to gender and equity and so on. However, the evaluation felt that there were very few funded studies, which also with the limited operation research outputs. And then when it comes to policy, the evaluation felt that again, the environmental sector, but also the plant health research institutional engagement was very limited. Outcome 5, which looks at pandemic preparedness, this was rated as moderately satisfactory. However, it noted all the good work that was done through the One Health workshops that have been conducted or supported by the project, but also the different trainings that were conducted, such as the simulation exercise, the spillover events, trainings related to risk communication, wildlife, and so on. However, the evaluation felt that collaboration remained largely episodic and concentrated at the central level. Also, it felt that the subnational operationalization readiness, formal protocols, and sustained cross-sector workflows were insufficiently developed. In terms of in-house monitoring and keeping stock of progress based on the outputs, based on the activities that we had planned, at the beginning of the project, we developed an M&A framework to guide us. This was also aligned with the EU standard and so on. We were able to come up with different targets under each component. And as you can see, we have managed to achieve almost all the targets, but also we've managed to also exceed the targets that we set for some of the different outputs. So if you look at the numbers in green, those are sort of highlighting an overachievement, while those in black reaching the target as at that. So I think this is just in a nutshell. A lot of this has already been presented through previous speakers. And before I conclude, we finalizing two big reports. So that is the final report, which talks great in detail about all these achievements and will be finalized by the end of the month. But also the evaluation report, which has also come up with very practical recommendations and way forward on how we can advance the work on AMR, would also be available by the end of the month. Thank you, and back to David.
Okay, thanks, Natalie. So I think now we're getting on to the more interesting part of the meeting, which is the country perspectives. Next slide, please, Jan. So the countries worked with us in the project in two ways. Firstly, they received funding from the project to conduct their own activities under Output 1.2, as I mentioned earlier. The country-based work plans all linked to developing, implementing, or reviewing multi-sectoral activities, which were in support of their national action plans. As you can see in this table here, I won't go through it. The countries will be talking around them. Secondly, countries work with regional offices on activities under outcomes 2 and 3, so many of the activities we mentioned earlier. Most of the countries will present on the achievements through their own activities and their country's work under the regional activities, as well as describing the impact the project has had on their country. So we're going to start with India, and I'll hand over first to Dr. Jyoti Misri, one of the project team members in FAO India office. Over to you, Dr. Jyoti.
Thank you, David. Thank you, EU, for the support. India supported through this project the state action plans in the 3 states for their functional operationalization, and also could provide the strategic framework for data sharing and monitoring. Similarly, for the laboratory networking of microbiological AMR surveillance, we were able to provide the standard operating procedures for the sampling frames and the testing methods, and also the able to bring in the harmonized protocols across the states in terms of the identified pathogens. Next, please. We also carried out different engagements with the regional support from RAP, primarily the private sector engagements. We could carry out around 7-8 private sector engagement activities, and these were specifically to improve the awareness and provide the best management practices. For example, we also came out with the recommendations regarding the ethno-veterinary usage in for AMR mitigation for the dairy sector, and we were able to carry out the specific recommendation also and give a thorough work plan for it. Definitely for the next antibiotic residue monitoring in the aquaculture sector also, and also sensitization about the diseases and treatment for the safe honey production for the apiary sector. So this was the first time we could carry out this private sector engagement in the apiary sector. Then we were able also to identify the sector specific challenges and the opportunities we could provide through providing the FAO best practices, and also having sensitization about the FAO flagship programs in the country, and also propose some of the initiatives to mitigate the AMR and how to reduce the antimicrobial usage for these sectors. Next, please, slide. The overall impact of this project in India was tremendous, and we could able to work on the national action plan and also worked on the different sub activities which we provided to the department of our government department, and they were highly appreciated. Enhanced the AMR and AMU surveillance across various sectors, and we deliberated on the best practices and the global practices, and we could also help them by providing the capacity building exercises like Atlas tools, and definitely make them aware about the informed data recording systems also. And also we brought in national capacity to the training on the AST and the HONET in different states, and this strengthened the shows how we could work together by bringing the regional and the global partners, including the various countries, to get rid of this important problem of the antimicrobial resistance. Over to the next speaker, Gunawan. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much for this opportunity. My next slide, please. Yeah, my name Gunawan Utomo from Indonesia. I will present today. So Indonesia contribute to three components from NAP from AU work plan. The first component is about strengthening One Health AMR Secretariat to support the implementation and review of AMR NAP 2020-2024 and begin preparation for NAP 2025-2029. So the first, we already implement and review the NAP 2020 and 2024 with successfully evaluated across sector with leadership of the coordinating Ministry of Human Development and Cultural Affairs as the One Health AMR Secretary. And then we preparation for NAP 2025-2029. We already have the final document and already have the high-level endorsement. So the government of Indonesia already proposed the presidential regulation on One Health approach, including the AMR. We also conducted the case study on One Health approach to supranational implementation of AMR in the field from the Sajaga. Sajaga is a community-based One Health initiative in Bali. We also conducted economic and health burden of AMR in Indonesia study. Next slide, please. For component 2 and 3 regarding the integrated AMR surveillance strengthening and public and private sector partnership, the key achievement, the first laboratory capacity strengthening, public and private lab monitoring and surveillance of avian pathogenic Escherichia coli, APEC, and then ARLAC mission, AgriLab, strength, gap, and action to enhance capacity for routine AMR testing for national AMR surveillance in disease poultry. And then we already developed the third of reference for national AMR lab network. And then for public and private sector partnership, PPP entry point identified, join AMR surveillance, data sharing, farmer incentives, innovation, and scale up via industry CSR, association, and cooperatives. So PSC and PPP workshop with strong public private sector engagement with 73 participants consists of 36% private sector, 26% government, 21 academia, 11 association, and FAO, enabling inclusive and constructive dialogue. Next slide, please. So the project impact on Indonesia, the first, stronger national AMR governance and institutionalized One Health coordination, improve surveillance and diagnostic for AMR disease animal, and then strengthened national AMR surveillance system, and the last, evidence-based policy action, stronger data on AMR trend, and economic burden to support prevention-focused intervention. I think that's all the update from Indonesia. And now I hand over to Tengku Zeti from Malaysia. Time was yours.
Okay, thank you, Gunawan. So distinguished colleagues, partners, and valued supporters, particularly our colleagues from the EU, we sincerely appreciate your continued commitment and partnership in advancing the global AMR agenda. It is my privilege to present Malaysia's strategic advances in the fight against AMR. At the core of this progress is the midterm strengthening of Malaysia's second National Action Plan, AMR 2022 to 2026. The plan has successfully moved from a high-level policy framework to concrete actionable interventions. Under the under the National AMR Committee, One Health governance has been institutionalized with clear mandates across ministries and technical working groups. Multi-sectoral platforms now bring together human health, animal health, environmental sectors, and the private sector, positioning Malaysia to align effectively with the UNGA political declaration on AMR and to transition seamlessly into the post-2026 cycle towards the third National Action Plan. Next slide, please. A standout achievement is Malaysia's leadership in integrated surveillance, outbreak management, and private sector partnerships. Driven by rigorous and coordinated data governance, Malaysia piloted the landscaping and situation analysis for integrated One Health AMR surveillance. Comprehensive mapping of AMR and AMU surveillance systems across sectors has identified integration points with global frameworks such as GLAS, ANIMUS, and INFARM. As mentioned by Tikri, Malaysia's case study is in its final stages and is poised to make a significant contribution to advancing the newly published quadripartite guidance on One Health integrated surveillance of AMR and AMU. Building on the WIPRO guidance for outbreak response management, the Ministry of Health Malaysia has successfully rolled out nationwide training on AMR outbreak response across all 6 health zones. Engagement with private laboratories, general practitioners, professional bodies, academia, and industry has transformed the private sector from a peripheral participant into a core partner. Concrete policy directions now ensure their integration into the national surveillance network and reinforce AMS across primary and private healthcare. Next slide, please. So Malaysia has moved decisively beyond siloed approaches to fully operationalize One Health response. National coordination, infection prevention, biosecurity, and antimicrobial use have been strengthened across human, animal health sectors and also environmental and also other sectors. Local communities and the private sector are active collaborators, establishing a true whole-of-nation approach. This tripartite collaboration with the EU fund has laid a robust and sustainable foundation for long-term measurable containment of AMR in Malaysia and the wider region. So that's all from Malaysia. Thank you, and over to you, Carol.
Thank you. Yes, next slide, please. Good day, everyone. On behalf of the AMR team in the Philippines, I'm very happy to share some of the key impacts of the EU-supported AMR project in the country's One Health response to antimicrobial resistance. So first, the project helps strengthen the strategic direction of the Philippine AMR response. Through the review of the Philippine National Action Plan on AMR for 2019 to 2023, the country was able to identify key implementation gaps, lessons learned, and priority areas for improvement. These insights informed the development of the new medium-term Philippine Action Plan on AMR for 2024 to 2028, ensuring that the next phase of national action is more evidence-based, measurable, and responsive to emerging challenges across the human, animal, and environmental sectors. Next slide, please. Second, the project contributed to stronger integration of the environmental dimension of AMR, an area that has historically received less attention. So through laboratory assessment and capacity strengthening of the Bureau of Soils and Water Management, the country has taken initial steps to incorporate AMR surveillance in agricultural soil and water into the National Soil Health Program. This represents an important shift toward a more complete One Health surveillance system that includes environmental pathways of resistance. Third, the project generated critical evidence to guide national communication and behavior change efforts. A nationwide One Health knowledge, attitudes, and practices study covering the human, animal, and environmental sectors, as well as the general public, has provided a clear understanding of how different stakeholders perceive AMR and use antimicrobials. The results will guide the development of a national AMR One Health communication plan, enabling more targeted and effective awareness and stewardship initiatives. Finally, the project strengthened multi-sectoral partnerships, particularly with the private sector. In aquaculture, for instance, collaboration with industry partners has helped advance awareness and improve biosecurity. At the same time, improvements in antimicrobial use reporting in both terrestrial and aquatic animals have enhanced the Philippines' contributions to international monitoring systems, such as the WOAH ANIMUS. Next slide, please. So overall, the EU AMR project has helped the Philippines move from fragmented efforts toward a more integrated, evidence-driven, and partnership-based One Health response to antimicrobial resistance, laying important foundations that will continue to sustain national AMR action beyond the life of the project. Thank you very much, and over to you, Mil.
Thank you so much, Carol. Hello, everyone. My name is Jutanasi Samran, one of the EU AMR team members at FAO RAP. For Thailand, key outputs and achievements in country include first, strengthened veterinary AMR lab network through the procurement of essential lab equipment and materials for AMR surveillance, and the participation of Veterinary Research and Development Center, or VRDC labs, in the annual PTL proficiency testing program organized by Chulalongkorn University, one of the FAO reference centers for AMR. And second, the project also helped sustain AMR animal lab network through a training of 2 Thai lab focal points on the use of FAO Atlas tool, and also the assessment of 2 VRDC lab performance using the FAO Atlas tool itself as well. And finally, the project helped strengthen coordination of AMR animal lab network internally and also with other sectors through the organization of annual meeting of livestock network and also One Health network on AMR surveillance. Next slide, please. So through regional support, Thailand participated in and contributed to several regional activities supported by the project, including World AMR Awareness Week Food Fair, or WOAH Food Fair, organized in 2024, a benchmarking workshop for AMR surveillance, regional consultations for the development of the FAO regional guidelines, and also in farm training. Also, key achievements made for public and private partnerships include excellent partnerships developed with the private sector in Thailand, significant contribution to regional PSE and PPP workshop, and also Thai private sector major positive influence for regional best practice, including gender and equity aspects of AMR mitigation and also AMR data utilization. So to summarize, the project made an important impact in Thailand by enhancing the veterinary AMR lab network, improving standards of AMR testing, and strengthening lab performance through the participation. Sorry, next slide, please. Thank you. So this is the impact made by the project. So again, first, by enhancing the veterinary AMR lab network, improving standards of AMR testing and strengthening lab performance through the participation in PT program, and also the assessment of labs involved in AMR surveillance using FAO Atlas tool. And it also strengthened One Health coordination by bringing together key sectors involved in addressing AMR. And with that, I would like to give the floor to Dr. Pawin from FAO Vietnam. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Milk. For Vietnam, first of all, I would like to thank WHO Country Office and the Department of Animal Health and Production, who represent the World Organization for Animal Health, for the close collaboration in implementing this project. Our key achievements include, first of all, the development of the laboratory network for AMR in animal pathogen, with the agreed TOR to share susceptibility testing data on the international platform, such as WHO Net. And together, with participation of public health laboratory under the Ministry of Health, this network also formed a One Health Salmonella working group that conducts study on genomic and AMR diversity of non-Thai feral Salmonella in Vietnam in collaboration with the FAO Reference Center for AMR at the UK Animal and Plant Health Agency, and also the Oxford University Clinical Research Unit as well. Next slide, please. Furthermore, we have strengthened integrated AMR surveillance and increased private sector engagement to address AMR. Specifically, in human health sector, WHO support the Ministry of Health to develop hospital tools for the collection of antimicrobial usage data, publish AMR outbreak response guide and WHO Aware book in Vietnamese. We have engaged private sector in AMR data collection, awareness raising, surveillance, communication, and regulation of AMU activities in agriculture. Next slide, please. In summary, the project has significantly contributed to the implementation of the AMR strategy and AMR National Action Plan in agriculture, with strong collaboration with human health and environmental sectors. The AMR surveillance has been strengthened, including laboratory network for animal pathogen and One Health research network. The project also reinforced private sector engagement in animal food and feed sectors and advanced AMR research and international collaboration. Thank you very much. And then I would like to hand over to David for the next country presentation.
Thanks very much, Pawin. So just going to very quickly summarize, we have 3 partner countries, China, Japan, and Republic of Korea. So just taking a moment to describe their valuable support. In China, we were grateful for our collaboration with the China Association for the Promotion of International Agricultural Cooperation in the joint hosting of the World Conference on Animal Welfare in the Sustainable Agri-Food Systems, and also with China Agriculture University at a side event at that conference with the private sector on alternatives to antimicrobials. In Japan, the project and Tripartite supported the annual Tokyo AMR One Health Conference organized by the Ministry of Health, Labour and Welfare, and training was given by WOAH and Japan partners on risk management of spillover events in wildlife. Japanese and Korean institutions provided various training opportunities for staff from project country laboratories on AMR surveillance in terrestrial and aquatic animals. And also in the Republic of Korea, we held a private sector engagement side event at the Global Conference on Foodborne AMR and conducted important integrated AMR AMU surveillance mapping with surveillance institutions from all sectors in Korea. So that is it from the countries. I'm now going to hand over to Chan to acknowledge our partners and to share the video.
Before sharing the video, please accept my apology for the quality of the audio in the video, because we collected a lot of videos from the country and the governments and a lot from the private sector, so the audio quality is a bit unstable. I try my best to keep it stable. Thank you.
Through the regional Tripartite Antimicrobial Resistance Project, an important initiative has taken shape in Asia. Launched in 2022, and with the support of the European Union, the project brought together global experts in health and agriculture to work with the Food and Agriculture Organization, World Health Organization, and World Organization for Animal Health to combat the spread of AMR. The Tripartite worked with 9 countries to transform how we address AMR through One Health approaches by sharing experiences, advocating best practices, and stimulating action. To contribute to partner countries' preparedness to tackle AMR, we strengthened AMR governance by helping countries review, update, and implement their AMR national action plans in partnership with stakeholders from the governments and experts from human health, food and agriculture, and environmental sectors. We enhanced surveillance of AMR and the use of antimicrobials, AMU, across sectors and pioneered One Health-based integrated surveillance of AMR and AMU. We engaged with private sector partners to provide technical assistance, create sustainable solutions on responsible and prudent use of antimicrobials, and promote good practices. Through innovation and research, we promoted alternatives to antibiotics and studied the socio-economic contexts of AMR and their implications for the effectiveness of mitigation measures. And in addition, we also provided the possibility to contribute to preparedness for future pandemics through regional coordination.
With the wonderful support of the European Union, FAO, WHO, and WOAH have combined their areas of expertise and influence to address this really major global threat. The work that we have done together on integrated surveillance of antimicrobial resistance and antimicrobial use, and our work with the private sector on development of public-private partnerships to address AMR issues has really been truly groundbreaking.
We have seen a significant improvement in our ability to diagnose and treat infections, reducing the misuse of antibiotics. We are not just fighting antimicrobial resistance, we are building a stronger and more resilient healthcare system and advancing the One Health approach that brings together human, animal, and environmental sectors.
On behalf of the WHO Regional Office for the Western Pacific, I would like to sincerely thank the European Union for its generous support to the Tripartite AMR project. This collaboration has significantly strengthened AMR surveillance, antimicrobial stewardship, multi-sectoral collaboration.
We were able to achieve some key milestones such as conducting first ever regional workshop on substandard and falsified veterinary products. In addition, we were able to enhance engagement of private sector in AMR, data sharing and awareness along with the veterinary services of the countries.
We are truly grateful for this partnership.
March 2024, the FAO regional office approached us to build a unified response to antimicrobial resistance across India's food systems. We moved into action immediately, in fact. Now, by strengthening laboratory capacities and aligning our work with India's NAP 2.0 in AMR, we have moved from data collection to direct action now. Ultimately, this work ensures that the farmer in the dairy or the worker in the seafood sector has the practical tools to act, and that is how together we build a system that stays resilient for the long term.
This unique regional Tripartite AMR project was successfully concluded on 31st December 2025, which brought together the public sector, cooperatives and private companies with a shared mission. Together we are turning dialogue into decisive action now. We have moved from raising awareness to co-creating a tangible roadmap to promote ethno-veterinary medicine as a viable alternative to antibiotics.
Kolaborasi ini telah memberikan kontribusi nyata dalam memperkuat implementasi rencana aksi nasional pengendalian AMR sehingga dapat berjalan lebih efektif. Kemenko PMK berkomitmen untuk terus melakukan sinkronisasi dan harmonisasi kebijakan lintas sektor agar pengendalian AMR dilaksanakan secara terpadu dan selaras dengan arah pembangunan nasional.
Over the past several years, collaboration between the government of Indonesia and FAO, WHO, WOAH, and the European Union in controlling antimicrobial resistance or AMR has produced a number of important achievements for Indonesia, particularly in the livestock and animal health sectors.
We will apply the outcome of these activities to strengthen AMR response and support wildlife health in the regions.
Through the support of the EU and the collective expertise of the tripartite, we have achieved something truly significant. We have moved beyond working in silos and have successfully embraced a true one health spirit. This collaboration has strengthened our national coordination and surveillance while bolstering defenses through better infection control and biosecurity. Moving forward, the focus remains on sustainability. We are committed to maintaining this momentum to ensure that the progress we have made leads to lasting, measurable results for Malaysia and the region in our shared fight against antimicrobial resistance. Thank you.
The public-private partnership PPP workshop for the animal health sector was successfully organized by the Tripartite and the DVS in 2024. The PPP was identified as a key mechanism to integrate all the effort in strengthening national AMR mitigation in line with the National Action Plan. We also appreciate the strong focus by the Tripartite on promoting responsible and prudent use of antimicrobials through capacity building for veterinarian and producer, together with meaningful private sector engagement.
Looking ahead and banking on the momentum gained through the Tripartite AMR Project, the Philippines has become more equipped to implement and sustain interventions for AMR. Hence, we remain committed to action and determined to advance our One Health approach in addressing this long-standing global challenge. Let me once again thank the Regional Tripartite for your steadfast support and offer our warm congratulations for a successful past 3 years. Mabuhay!
Thông qua dự án, Việt Nam đã đạt được nhiều bước tiến đáng kể. Chiến lược quốc gia về phòng chống kháng thuốc và kế hoạch hành động quốc gia về kháng thuốc trong lĩnh vực nông nghiệp đã được cập nhật, phổ biến, triển khai trong chăn nuôi và nuôi trồng thủy sản, đồng thời tăng cường phối hợp chặt chẽ với các lĩnh vực y tế và môi trường. Chương trình giám sát kháng thuốc đã được củng cố, bao gồm cả mạng lưới phòng thí nghiệm xét nghiệm đối với tác nhân gây bệnh ở trên động vật.
Betagro is proud to support national effort to combat antimicrobial resistance through the regional Tripartite AMR projects, working with the government partners and organizations including the Food and Agricultural Organizations, World Health Organizations, and the World Organizations for Animal Health. We have strengthened antimicrobial use monitoring and expanded AMR surveillance across our operations. We remain committed to measurable reductions in antimicrobial use and to advancing One Health for sustainable food productions.
On behalf of the Department of Livestock Development on Thailand, and as a participant in the regional Tripartite AMR project, I would like to express our sincere appreciation for the collaboration. Moving forward, Thailand remains strongly committed to sustaining this achievement and advancing coordinated AMR surveillance at both national and regional level. Thank you very much. ขอบคุณครับ
Working together to fight antimicrobial resistance in Asia, a European Union-funded initiative implemented by FAO, WHO, and WOAH. Through the Regional Tripartite Antimicrobial Resistance
Okay, thank you very much, Chan, for that video presentation. And I understand, Andreas, you have another time commitment. So let's, before we finish the slides, we'll hand over to you to make some closing remarks before your departure.
Remarks, and Marie-Lou will stay. I think this was extremely useful, this event, where we, in a compressed way, looked back to 4 intense years, and it really shows, technical as it is, a lot happened. So when I thanked at the beginning, there was a reason why I thanked, and now it's substantiated more even. So really great work done. All the very best to all of you. And from the video, I also take with me a lot of commitment from the partner countries to continue working, and of course from the international organizations on the AMR matter. And I think our societies deserve this type of attention. So all the very best in the fight against antimicrobial resistance and other global health challenges.
Okay, I think we'll just finish. I think we have just a few more slides and then we have wrapped up the slide presentation. I think what we want to just share with you a little bit is what remains as far as the legacy of the project. And I think that there have been a series of these landmark events that were organized and they've influenced at national level, regional level, and even global level in some cases, the way forward. We certainly know that the benchmarking workshop on resistance and use and looking at how to improve and deliver integrated surveillance has been very significant and led to our large publication that's available at the link. We also recognize that there have been a series of guidelines that have been developed to improve data quality and surveillance. Certainly the groundbreaking workshop that we had on substandard and falsified veterinary products, the first of its kind globally that we're aware of. We also had an important socioeconomic analysis and guidance on gender and equity in combating AMR. So these are all very unique and significant landmark events. We also know that we have essentially put in place a gold standard for how to deliver AMR national action plans. And this includes engagement of all the relevant sectors, not just animal health and public health, but also the environment. And we've added, as sort of a standard approach, the M&E framework that's associated with those national action plans, as well as the costing, and including the use of a costing tool. We also have enhanced the surveillance and global databases, and they're being supplied more than ever with good quality and high volume AMR and AM use data. The private sector is also much more active as a partner and welcomed, particularly at country level, to be supporting the national action plans and national solutions for addressing AMR issues. And future work in the region is based on significant extent of events, actions, and publications from the project. So these have all been valuable. I think one comment particularly on the support, and again, we thank the EU tremendously on this, and I think it was mentioned early on that for us, particularly as FAO, this project has really been a model on how the tripartite and UNEP equaling the quadripartite can work effectively and collaborate well. I think that this project stands out for us as really a model example of great collaboration and very productive, successful work. Next slide. As far as sustainability and next steps, we plan on obviously continuing to work together as the quadripartite. We still have a variety of different collaborations through the regional quadripartite coordination group. There are also the intent, particularly to continue to address action track number 5 in the joint plan of action, which focuses on AMR areas of work. There also are several new projects that are on the horizon. There's the AMR Multi-Partner Trust Fund projects, which are being delivered by the partners in Nepal, Philippines, and Sri Lanka, and they will continue to sustain and build upon the successes and outcomes of the EU project. As well, in the Pandemic Fund, we have had success in bringing additional resources to India, Nepal, Samoa, and Sri Lanka, as well as several multi-country country projects, and all of those support either national or regional AMR surveillance work. I think as many of you are aware, our organization has had a long commitment to delivering AMR, and one of its new global initiatives is Reno-Farm, reducing the need for antimicrobials at farm level. And that initiative also includes a lot of the work that has been done in this project, and it aims to build on those successes and continue to support regionally and nationally areas of work on AMR across agricultural and agri-environment sectors. If you're interested, the QR code is there. And then also the AMR and AMU surveillance data will be continued to be deposited into the in-farm system. And we also know that the private sector engagement and continuity of EU project initiatives will continue. And finally, the costed AMR national action plans with M&E will be pursued with national stakeholders and governments above and beyond the country in this project, but even beyond to other countries being supported through other mechanisms. Next slide. And with that, it's the end of our Rolodex of slides. Thank you for all of your patience and your interest in the project. And I think we have some time available for either comments, feedback, additional complementary points. But pretty much the floor is open for any additional comments or questions. I don't see any hands in the room. Perhaps, Chan, can we also look at the online participants to see if there are any hands up for any additional comments or questions? Do we have any hands? No. No hands and not a face out there. Okay, I see one hand. Yeah, go on, please.
Yeah.
Go on.
Okay. Thank you, Pak Scott, for this opportunity.
Yeah, we're done.
Yeah, sorry, the camera. Yeah, actually,
Thank you.
EU funded is very important and useful from Indonesia, especially for AMR control, because EU is the pioneer to endorse the One Health AMR control in the ministry, in the coordinated Ministry of Human Development and Cattle Affairs through the monitoring and evaluation. So this success, I think, need to be followed up in the future. And if we saw that currently it's very limited budget for AMR, is it possible for the future EU can fund it for AMR control to the other countries or including Indonesia? I think my question. Thank you.
Did you catch that, Marie-Louise? Yeah, I think we take note of that request for potential future support to the AMR areas of work. And I know that certainly we've discussed and explored with the EU the potential for further regional support to AMR programming, which at this point in time does not appear to be available, but there may be bilateral funding opportunities. And I don't know if Marie-Louise is interested to respond now, or if not, we can support reaching out at country level with the EU. Yeah, I think the latter approach will be taken. So we'll take note and be in touch with EU counterparts at country level through bilateral means. Any other hands or questions? Yeah, David, please.
I'm sorry, I've already spoken far too much today, but I just really wanted to take this opportunity to say a huge thank you to the EU, to Marie-Louise in particular, who's been fantastic to work with. I think we have some interesting people that we work with over the years from resource partners, and Marie-Louise is definitely one of the very best that we work with. It's been a very positive partnership. not just during implementation, but from the design of the project, which seems an awful long time ago now. A huge thank you to everyone within the Tripartite plus UNEP at regional level and at country level. I think, as Scott mentioned at the end there, I think it's been a real model of how we can work together as a tripartite, as a quadripartite. And long may that partnership continue going forward. We have project opportunities going forward, Multi-Partner Trust Fund and others, to work at a country level together. And I know that we very much enjoyed working together and got a huge amount out of it. Things like the integrated surveillance workshops and other areas where we've worked together, we've learned from each other and understood a huge amount. Thank you so much to our partners in country, both within the tripartite organizations, but also from government level and from out with government level. I think sometimes you may think, we may not agree, that we are slightly unreasonable in our demands and our requests. And I know that there are times when there's been an awful lot going on at times. As we've accelerated, it's become more and more of a challenge. And so much of the reason that it's worked so well is because of your fantastic work at country level. So a huge thank you to you. Quick thank you to Chan, who pulled that video together at the end. Major editing exercise and the real challenges over sound quality and whatever. But I thought it was a really nice video at the end, I think, which gave some very nice perspectives of the overall impact of the project. A personal thank you to Chulalongkorn University. They are in the room, Professor Rungtip and team. They are AMR reference laboratory in the region, and similarly, we have made their lives a real misery at times. So much work going on, so busy, but they have delivered so much of the training, so much of the Atlas evaluation, so much of the work. We are truly grateful to your work. And even just last week, there was the Chulalongkorn University Veterinary Conference. Major event, many people there. Chula are a really big player on AMR in the region, and we are truly grateful for your partnership and to work with you. Thank you so much. So thank you to everyone. Thank you to DLD. We have very much enjoyed working with DLD, working with the National Institute for Animal Health. Thank you. I know it's meant to be a lot of Q&As, but I just wanted to take advantage and say thanks.
Okay, thank you, David. Any other hands online, Chan, or we can move to closing, I think? It's okay. Okay, great. Super. So before I hand over to Marie-Louise for closing remarks, I do also want to second that round of thank yous, particularly to the countries who have participated and worked really hard. This project really is successful due to all of your hard work and efforts, and we really appreciate that and acknowledge that. And we hope that the lessons learned and the successes that we've initiated at country level will be sustained by all of you, the combination of government, academia, NGO, and private sector partners who are involved. And I also want to take a moment to thank again also the AMR family that we have. I think we certainly recognize a large amount of work has gone into this project by the different entities. Certainly the FAO team, a lot of blood, sweat, and tears that I know personally, based on all the engagement and hard work. WOAH, your collaboration has been valuable and so strategic in the sense that we have a lot of overlap, particularly in the area of animal health and surveillance and programmatic areas like that. We greatly appreciate that. WHO, the colleagues are online, and again, we know that this is really a One Health program that we need to address AMR through this One Health modality, and so the public health sector engagement and the ministries of health being part of that are really important and essential for us to be successful. And then finally, with UNEP, our complement from the environment and environmental sampling and surveillance standpoint, we really appreciate the opportunity to build bridges across to that sector and engage them in the One Health programming going forward. So that has been wonderful. I want to thank again the EU for believing in us as partners and as a quadripartite, and for supporting us through the ups and downs. We appreciate the candidness and the support and the way that we've been able to come together and respond and deliver, I think, a really outstanding project. The last thank you is to really the guy who I think is our lead, David. This has been just from a managerial standpoint, I'm sure one of the most complex and dynamic things you've ever had to do. I think that you should be really proud and excited and happy with the outcome of this, what is really a 4+ years of work from your side to help this from sort of inception phase all the way to the closing workshop. And I think we really want to acknowledge you and give you a round of applause for everything. And most of all, as you move into the next phase and you're sitting on your veranda under an umbrella sipping refreshment, don't sip too many refreshments because we'll be calling on you to help support where and when needed. With that, I just want to hand over to Marie-Louise for closing remarks on behalf of the EU. Thanks.
Thank you very much. We're already over time, so I will not make any lengthy remarks, which are also improvised. But I can only echo everything that's been said. Thank you for all the hard work. Indeed, I think this was a very complex program to put together with many stakeholders, different regional offices, a bit of a strange selection of countries to work with. And I think indeed is due to the active engagement of David from inception onwards to also getting things operational, and the hard work of the team and all the partners that in the end we have this long list of accomplishments, outputs, impacts, and results. I also think there's a lot of lessons learned from how to run a project like this, also how to design a project like this, perhaps, but also when it comes to the operating environment, the institutional challenges, and how to overcome them. And I very much invite everyone to learn from this project as well and adapt for future actions and for future engagements, especially in a context where we all know that funding will be more limited. We have to work in a much more strategic and smarter way. But I think still, despite, I would say, limited funding for the context and the complexity of the topic itself and the landscape that the project was operating in, as really impressive accomplishments that were presented today, that we should celebrate the successes and to keep learning from and to keep working together in the future on what comes next. But thank you very much for all the hard work that went into this, all the blood, sweat, and tears, as you said, all the many meetings and missions and updates, and also heavy reporting to us as the donor. We very much appreciate it. From my side, also personally, this is not my technical expertise, so it has been a very interesting journey. I've learned a lot myself. I very much thank David as my main focal point and counterpart, but of course the entire team that was very responsive throughout. Thank you very much. Thanks for organizing the event today. It was very useful, and I'm sure we'll be in touch for some more discussions on what comes next, drawing out lessons learned, and of course also reviewing the final project reporting. But thank you very much.
Okay, thank you everyone online, and have a great day. Thank you.